Hey everyone, it's Jack from WhatCulture.com. I hope you had a very good New Year's Eve, or Hogmanay, as Kenny told me it was called. I'm a little bit emotional because I've just watched genuinely one of the best matches I think I've ever seen between Okada and Omega in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom 11. Watch that if you can, but I'm going to try and just calm down a bit and talk about SmackDown. It feels like to be honest, it feels like a big drop off. But no, it was a good show. Now let's crack on and see how good it was, with some ups and also some downs as well. So we open with a brilliant opening segment from The Miz and Dean Ambrose. The Miz is, of course, on top form. He's coming off maybe a career year in 2016, and now his feud with Dean Ambrose has been infused with a new element in the form of Renee Young. She, of course, slapped The Miz a week or two ago for insinuating that her and Dean Ambrose had the sex, which of course they do. And he said a similar thing again this week, where he said that she'd compromised her journalistic integrity to do some dirty deeds with Dean Ambrose. Oh no, genuinely, it was good. I quite enjoyed that. And then Ambrose came out, he was all annoyed. Then Maurice slapped him, and then Miz and Maurice ran away, and Ambrose went, "Oh, she hits harder than you because Miz is a big, strong wrestler." And Maurice, is Ambrose sexist? Is he insinuating that women can't be as strong? Regardless of all that, this segment was hilarious, entertaining, good. It's an up. The first match of the show was Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler, and Corbin won, which seems to signify that this could well be the year of his sort of proper push. Whereas for Ziggler, it's the start of a new direction, maybe. This is what Corbin's been having some of the best matches of his career in the past couple of weeks. This was another great one. It's easy, of course, to have a good match with Dolph Ziggler. He's sort of that kind of guy that a lot of people can have good matches with. But at the same time, Baron Corbin really did pull it out of the bag as well. It was a great match. Baron Corbin won, which was interesting, and that'll factor into the post-match shenanigans, which I'll get onto in a second. But for now, that's an up as well. It's 2-0. So then we saw a very interesting post-match segment where Ziggler was a bad boy. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when Dolph Ziggler super kicks you when you've only come out to try and help him fend off Baron Corbin in a post-match beatdown, as the popular song goes? Yes, Kalisto ran out to fend off Baron Corbin, only for Ziggler to super kick a chair into his face. It looks as though Ziggler's turned heel. He stormed backstage afterwards, got into a bit of a confrontation with Apollo Crews. I've noticed that Kalisto and Apollo Crews are sort of lower down the card than the guys that Ziggler's been feuding with recently. Maybe this is the start of kind of a lowering, a D push, as it were. But it is a brand new, fresh direction for Ziggler, something that he's needed for a while. I can't complain too much. I did enjoy it, and that gets an up as well. Just as a side note, does anyone think that Kalisto is like the modern equivalent of Tito Santana, always sort of sticking his babyface nose in the other babyface's babyface business? What a nerd. I'd have kicked him as well. Stay in your lane, Kalisto. Probably tries to help them with their homework. Unfortunately, now we got our first down of the show, and it was a match involving one of my favourite women on the roster, Becky Lynch, sadly, against La Luchadora, which turned out to be Alexa Bliss, not the mystery woman who, well, I'll try and explain. Basically, she was fighting the match against the real Luchadora, and then she did sort of a twin magic thing, and Alexa Bliss came out in the Luchadora guise, and then Becky won anyway and made her tap out to disarm her, and then the real Luchadora came out and they both beat down Becky Lynch. I'm going to give this a down because I don't like seeing a champion look weak too many times in a row, no matter who it is, and Alexa Bliss has tapped out yet again. I don't mind champions looking weak and undeserving of holding the title, but I feel that if they are, they should at least be clever enough to avoid being shown up too many times, and Bliss has tapped out again. And I just don't like the whole lucha thing. A lot of the time it kind of doesn't really work, because Becky first came in as La Luchadora, and then it's all a bit messy. The only time I did like it a lot was when Edge and Christian were Los Conquistadors. Look, the Conquistadors. That was f***ing hilarious. But this one didn't do it for me, so sadly it is a down. Next up, we had the official contract signing for the WWE Championship match at the Royal Rumble between AJ Styles and John Cena, and this promo segment both guys were on fire. It's definitely an up. For those of you who missed it, Styles insinuated that Cena had become what he hated a few years ago. He's become The Rock. He's the part-timer who's now more concerned with Hollywood than he is wrestling. And then Cena defended himself, and both guys raised very valid points. It's a very compelling feud. Even though it's been going on for a while, it still feels fresh as they're bringing new factors into it all the time. And then Styles had a great line where he said that Cena would never be as good as The Rock in Hollywood or as good as himself, AJ Styles, in the ring. This one might divide opinion a bit, but I also enjoyed Baron Corbin's involvement in the post-match segment. It felt like he was kind of involved a lot in SmackDown, maybe too much, but everything he did had a purpose. He announced that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble and that he's going to challenge the winner of the WWE Championship match. I don't think Corbin's going to win the Rumble, but I am, as a side note, really looking forward to the Rumble because there's about 6 guys who could realistically win it. It's probably the most unpredictable one in a lot of years, maybe since 2011 or 12. Sheamus won more since 12, I reckon. Now we have a segment that I changed from an up to a down at the very last second. Sorry, Phil, but I'll justify why. We had Carmella versus Aliyah from NXT. And yeah, sometimes these NXT guys or girls come up and they get, jobbed out, as it were. But this one sort of had a reason behind it. Carmella had the help of James Ellsworth. And I do like how quickly they've moved Ellsworth from his main event spot to a position much lower down the card without it feeling forced at all. It was very seamless. He walked backstage injured after AJ Styles beat him up. Carmella took him under her wing, and it's all kind of flowed smoothly from there. I was going to give it a down because the match was short and not great, but I have given it an up in the end because it carries on the character development, and just the sight of Carmella in a sort of crop top version of the James Ellsworth t-shirt with his little face peeking over the top was just hilarious. And him cheering her on from ringside, something about me wants to hate it, but I can't bring myself to, and I am going to give it an up. Next, another kind of non-match, kind of 1 minute match that was more about the angle surrounding it than it was the match itself. And again, I'd usually give these sort of things a down, but as long as the rest of the wrestling on the show is kind of drawn out and good, as it was this week, I can forgive 1 or 2 segments like this. We had American Alpha and the Fashion Police, or Breezango, or whatever you want to call them. And American Alpha won in about a minute, and then Orton and Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper as well appeared on the Tron and said, look, we've got a rematch, you're going to lose the belts. Simple stuff, really good, no complaints. Luke Harper also looked annoyed at Randy Orton for kind of treading on his toes during the promo, which is all good, potentially building towards friction there. Can't complain. I've used my hands a lot in this link. It's enough. Next, we had an in-ring segment between Nikki Bella and Natalya. I've got to give this one a down. It was a bit of a mess. Natalya, right, there's been a lot of... SmackDown's been kind of the Jerry Springer show recently, where people have just said insults that have been like, oh, and it's all been really good and hard-hitting. But like, those have to have sort of a purpose behind them. Natalya said to Nikki Bella, Cena's going to break up with you and you're going to die alone. That's just a bit mean, really. It's not got that sort of that impact like when people insinuate that Nikki's only got her position in the company because of Cena. That sort of carries a punch and a weight to it because it's got that slightly real-life edge to it. This one just seemed like she was being nasty. It wasn't. It just felt like it was out of nowhere. There was no background to it. She also said that Nikki Bella probably used her sex appeal to get Bret Hart to do a positive tweet about her, and then they flashed the tweet up on the Titantron. It was all a bit clunky, and then Nikki beat her up because she was cross. It was probably the weakest thing on the show. I'm going to give it a down, I'm afraid. And finally, we had the Intercontinental Championship match between Dean Ambrose and the champion, The Miz. Oh, I've got very mixed thoughts on this one, but I'm just going to give it an up because the match was fantastic. It was everything a TV main event should be. The negative feelings I've got are because I didn't really think The Miz's reign should have ended on TV. I think that Miz should have, had a bigger send-off. He should have put someone over on a pay-per-view. But as a couple of people in the office pointed out when I was kind of complaining about this could spell the beginning of another push towards a world title for The Miz. So I'm going to reserve judgment for now. See whether The Miz rises, should I say, or falls on the card, and then decide whether it's good or bad. But for now, it was a good match. It was a dramatic title change. Ambrose gives value to the belt, continues the Intercontinental Championship looking strong. It's an up. We'll see what happens with The Miz. I am a little bit concerned. So that's all for this week on SmackDown Ups and Downs, the first of the year, and what a week it's been for SmackDown. Last week they beat Raw in the ratings. This week they've put on a fantastic show, one which has again blown away Raw in terms of sheer quality. I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. Thank you very much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack_the_jobber. Phil, I've forgotten yours, I'm sorry.
At Chambers Philip.
At Chambers Philip, and we'll see you soon.
WCPW presents Kirby Mania, Liverpool, January the 5th. Featuring Cody Rhodes versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the WCPW Internet title. Marty Scurll versus Gabriel Kidd, and Lana Austin versus Eva Elise. Also featuring all your favorite WCPW stars, including Bully Ray, the local hero Joe Hendry, Rampage, Moss and Slater, the WCPW champion Drew Galloway, and the man himself, Martin Kirby. Kirby Mania, live and for free on YouTube, 7:30, 2:30 Eastern, only on What Culture Wrestling.